In this tutorial, I will show you how to take this pile of shopping bags, plastic shopping bags that you get at pretty much every store nowadays, and turn it into plastic yarn, otherwise known as Plarn, that you can use to create bags or sleeping mats or what have you, and try to reuse those bags. So what you're going to do first is you're going to take a bag and you're going to flatten it out. So that way it's a little bit easier to cut. And then going to fold it in half and in half again. You can fold it another time if you really feel like it, but I'll just show you how to do it this way. Whatever your scissors can handle. And you're going to cut off the very bottom because that's not going to be useful in making the yarn. And you're going to cut off the straps, the handles, and toss that. So now you have this strip of plastic. You can measure them out. I know that online some places will tell you that you can cut a bag into 4 strips and then that will create pretty thick yarn. If you want thinner yarn, I usually measure it out with my fingers. So do this safely. So I give about maybe an inch per cut. And you don't have to be very exact with it because really it'll get pulled to a much smaller piece anyway. But you can do whichever you'd like. If you want thicker yarn, you can cut it thicker. Thinner yarn, thinner. Either way. But you don't want it too thin because that will cause a problem with the strength of the straps. So once you cut it, you'll have this big loop and you'll want to open up 2 at a time, and you're going to create this sort of Venn diagram of sorts. And then in order to start making the piece of yarn that will continue, you're going to take one side, one loop, flip it over the bottom loop, so that way it creates this little handle. And then you're just going to tighten it. You don't want to pull too tight, but you'll create this little knot. And then you're just going to keep doing that over and over again until you've used up every section of the plastic. Now what you can do, if you want, you can separate the colors out in order to create different colors of yarn, which is normally what I like to do, but I'm just going to show you how to attach all of this and start balling it. So we're just going to keep doing it this way. If you want to create colorful plastic yarn, you can color it with permanent marker before you cut it, but you definitely want to use permanent marker and let it dry before you start working with it. Oops. Okay, so this is actually a really good time to show you. If your plastic yarn rips, all you have to do is just knot it. Since we're creating a series of knots anyway, it won't hinder the style of the yarn, and you just cut off a little extra and then you can keep going. It happens, you're working with plastic, so I try not to pull too tightly, but you know, it happens. And then we're almost done with this one bag, and you'll see exactly how long one bag will create. And so all of this is all one bag. That's huge. So in order to wrap it around and start creating your ball of yarn, I usually use 2 fingers and I just wrap it around a couple of times, take it off, and then wrap around the other way, and then I just start creating a ball with all of the string. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It's just a little bit easier to handle than having just long strands of plastic floating around your house. And so then you see this actually creates a pretty nice little sized ball. And this would be how you create plastic yarn. And then when you go and cut up a second bag, even if you already have this all balled up, you can still use this strand just like you would the other ones and just pull through more string and go from there. So that is how you create Plarn, or plastic yarn, from shopping bags. Enjoy!